Welcome back, and day 6. So following on from yesterday, where we looked at working with resistance during meditation, today we're going to be discussing and practicing finding the right amount of effort during meditation. Because often one of two things can happen. Either we are putting too much effort into the meditation, and that actually is counterproductive, because rather than stilling the mind, it can actually aggravate the mind. We are creating more movement in the mind. We're not being still because we are creating a lot of mental movement and exertion. But on the other hand, if we're not applying any effort at all, then it's likely we're not actually going to reach a level of concentration that can be really beneficial for the mind. And so today, again, we're going to be moving towards a deeper meditation. We're going to be practicing going into a deeper state of concentration, if that's possible. And that's where a lot of real profound benefits can come, is when we enter these really deep states of concentration. So without further ado, just find your position. Get comfortable in the chair. Hands on the legs. Just closing your eyes when you're ready. And just let everything arise. No effort at all at this point. Just maintaining that mindfulness, present moment awareness. Just directing attention to what is happening. Just bringing your attention to the breath now. When you breathe in, know that you're breathing in. When you breathe out, know that you're breathing out. Now see if you can follow the breath from the very start to the very end. See if you can cover the breath entirely with your attention. If the mind wanders at any point, just bring the attention back to the breath. Now for one breath, just see if you can follow the breath as precisely as possible. See if you can give the breath your complete, bare attention. And now relax the effort. Still aware of the breath, but not making any effort here. Just receiving the breath if you happen to. Just noticing whatever you happen to notice. Now again, bring your attention to the breath. See if you can give it your full, undivided attention. Now follow the breath as precisely as you can. Now for the rest of this session, it's over to you. Release efforts or apply more efforts as you feel you need to. If the mind wanders, just bring the attention back. See if you can find that middle way and the right amount of effort. And I'll come back in just before the end. Okay, just coming back into the space around you now. Letting go of any efforts. Just opening your eyes in your own time. So I've been sharing a number of techniques over the last few days, which you can add all of them to your toolkit, as it were, of techniques to use to develop your own meditation practice. Whilst these sessions are generally around 20 minutes long, there's nothing preventing you from going longer, of course. And in fact, to attain these much deeper states of concentration, it can certainly help to do longer meditation sessions. There's no rules about it, but you might like to try going for longer, 30, 40 minutes, perhaps up to an hour, maybe even longer if you're feeling brave. Again, I wouldn't recommend that you time it necessarily, but just see if you can just sit with yourself a bit longer and work with the resistance in the ways I've suggested and watch what happens. Because as you deal with resistance and as you find just the right amount of effort, not too much, not too little, it's likely that the mind will enter very deep states of concentration. And in the Indian traditions, these have a name. These are referred to as the jhanas. Jhana sort of refers to heaven, as far as I know. It's also the word that is also translated into Zen in the ancient Chinese tradition, which was then exported to Japan. So these are very profound states of mind. They're unlike anything else you would experience in daily life. Now, that doesn't make anyone special for having achieved them. It's certainly nothing to go and brag about or to allow the ego to attach to. But that said, when you experience these states, most likely you will see through the ego somewhat, and the idea of attaching to these states with the ego, at least in those moments, will seem somewhat nonsensical. They are essentially states of, well, there's 4 of them technically in Buddhist nomenclature, but I don't know if it's especially helpful to start breaking them down and start conceptualizing them too much. Just know that if you experience these states, just to carry on, no big deal. Just stick to the plan. Just keep bringing the attention back to the breath. That's all we do. Just working with whatever comes up, right? And just sitting there and experiencing it. But one reason these are so valuable is because it really puts us in touch with what true peace really feels like. And this is one of the primary benefits of meditation. Like, it really shows us another way of experiencing, of existing, and it shines the rest of life in a new light. Like, I personally think that there aren't many lines in the sand, but if there was one in meditation, I think things start to click a bit more and make a bit more sense once someone has experienced the jhanas. At that point, it's like, okay, I'm starting to really understand what this is all about now. And it's not merely that insight as well, but it's also the effect that then has as we can then take that into the rest of our lives and carry it around. And whilst we certainly do practice mindfulness in daily life and set that intention to keep the awareness going and keep making wholesome decisions as we go, after a really deep meditation, to an extent, it does sort of just hang around, right? So as we get up from a deep meditation, we go out into life and, hey, the joy is still there, the peace is still there, and any stimuli that do arise that might have otherwise had the potential to give rise to painful feelings in us, whether it's people we might otherwise find displeasing, or harsh sounds, whatever it is. It's almost like these things just, of course they make contact, but they just don't give rise to that pain. It's like they just slip off. It's like they enter the mind and then they leave the mind. They enter the mind, they leave the mind. And this can hang around for hours, day, sometimes many, many days. You can have a really deep meditation and notice the benefits for several days afterwards, all for maybe half an hour or an hour worth of sacrifice that we might have spent doing something else, right? So if it's good for your mind, it's a good use of time, as it were. It's really where the benefits of meditation really start to click and make sense. So take all these tools that I'm sharing, put them into practice in your own time and space, develop your own practice in this way. I would encourage some longer sits if that's something you're capable of doing physically, and just gradually move towards it. No need to try and do it all at once, but just move there gradually. This is a daily practice. So hope that was useful, guys. I shall see you here tomorrow for day 7 of this series.